Hello again, my name is Zachary Camarillo, instructor for CAM-ASEAN. So our previous video we introduced prepositions. What are they? In, on, at, our most common prepositions, but to be honest there's hundreds of prepositions. Because prepositions, remember, are as a word to describe the relationship of time or place. So there are many different ways to talk about location or time, especially location though. So I want to cover some common prepositions you might see, and then we're going to practice. So here's the thing. Prepositions have definition. Like we said in our last video, so in our last video we talked about in, on, at. But remember, I said there's definitions. At has a specific meaning. In has a specific meaning. On has a specific meaning. All prepositions have specific meanings, and that's what we need to know to help us understand how to use it. Because that's what it's going to come down to. The preposition it's going to describe time or location. So if it's going to describe time or location, well, we need to know what these words mean, because these words are talking about something specific. So let's look. So we said in, these guys are in the room, If you put let's say an apple, the apple is on the table, okay? This is what we're talking about, relationship of place. So let's talk about these common prepositions in a second. Hold on. So what I'm going to talk to you about is what are these definitions? That's all we're going to really talk about right now. What are the definitions of these prepositions, and so we can start to understand how to use them. So about just means topic. This video is about prepositions. This video, remember we have a noun, this video, and then I want to connect it to the other part of the sentence, prepositions. This video is about prepositions, about meaning topic. So above just means above anything. So my hand is above the TV, okay? Anywhere is above. What about across? Well, across means from one side to the other. One side to the other. So for instance, across. A line across. One side to the other. So across the street. The school is across the street, meaning it's on the other side. Okay? My house is across the river, on the other side. One side to the other. If I say one noun, my house, another noun, the river, across is the relationship. My house, one side, school, the other side. Remember, all of these words are to talk about relationship of time or place. So that's what we're trying to do. You need to know the definition so you can make a picture in your head, because that picture is going to help you understand more. After, time. After just means the next thing. So after class, I will go home, meaning the time beyond the class. Against. Now, against can have more than one meaning, okay? But against just means, it can mean two things, but in this case we're talking about location. Against means to put pressure on something, to to touch or give weight to something. So here's the difference. Now, against just means not on. What's the difference? Against and on can be very similar. So against, here's me. I am against the TV. I'm touching like this. I'm next to, but touching. Next to, but touching. That's against. So against the TV, against the wall, okay? That's what we mean. So what's the difference between on and against? Well, on means all of it is touching. On means all of it is touching, okay? So against is not against the TV. Against is on the TV, okay? So partially touching is probably a better word. Partially touching. Whereas on is all of it. Now, along means to follow something. So, I walk along the road, meaning I'm to the side following it. I walk in the road, meaning the road is all around me. So I'm in the road, all around me. Along, next to, but following. Along the river. Now, among is like this picture up here. Among is this. Among is inside of a group. Inside of a group. So it has to be inside of a group of something. Among the trees. There's trees all around me. I'm inside of the group. So I'm among the trees. It's inside of a group of something. Around. Around just means circle. So around is to follow the circle, just go on the outside. Okay? So it can be two things. If I'm talking about time, it means close to a time. So let's say a time, 2 p.m. Around 2 p.m., it means close to this time. Not this exact time. Otherwise, I would say at 2 p.m. But maybe it's a little before, or maybe it's a little after. I say around. It could also be a place. I go around the building. I go on the outside. Now, as means example or like. At, specific place or specific time. At is always specific. Before is opposite after. So before this class, after this class. Before is the time before, the time previous. Behind. So the TV is behind me. Remember, all of these words are to talk about relationship. I need two things to have a relationship. So the TV is behind me. Me, TV, two things. Describe the relationship. Remember, that's all prepositions are for. I have two things. Action, noun, noun, noun. Two things, I need to show the relationship. Below is the opposite of above. This is above, below the TV. My hand is below. Beneath, below. What's the difference? Well, there is no difference. Okay? So things like, let's do these the same color so we all know they're the same. They're related. Maybe not that color. Let's do red. So underneath, under, okay? Beneath, below. These all mean the same. In fact, you can use them the same way. My hand is below the TV. My hand is beneath the TV. My hand is under the TV. My hand is underneath the TV. Under, underneath. This is just formal, not formal. It doesn't matter. The meaning's the same for these. Okay? many ways to say the same thing. Beside is like saying next. So I am beside the TV, not touching. If I'm touching, remember, against. Okay? Beside, not touching. Against, touching. Okay? That's the difference. Now, between, meaning something on this side, something on this side. Okay? One tree. I am between the trees. Now, beyond. Beyond is a little harder to understand. Let's go back up here. So what we need to do is understand a boundary. This is a boundary, okay? This part is a boundary, a border, okay? Boundary. So beyond means outside of a boundary. If in is surrounded by something, beyond is to go outside. Beyond is to go outside, past the boundary. Now, some of these can be very conceptual, meaning it's just an idea. But some of these can be physical too. So I am beyond the classroom, meaning outside, but it can also be inside my head. This is beyond my understanding. My understanding is inside, it's beyond that, meaning I don't understand. So keep that in mind. Now, let's go back. But, contrasting idea. By, due date, or time. Can be also how. Okay? I go to work by moto. I go to work by foot. Concerning, same as about. Concerning, about. Considering. Now, what's the difference between concerning and considering? Because they're both about. They're both topic. Well, that's the thing. We have to look at the root word. Concern means worry. Consider means think. So they're both to say about, but different focus. Considering is just what I'm thinking about. Concerning is what I'm worrying about. Okay? Now, despite means no influence to. Despite is kind of hard. Let's get out our pen. So, despite just means, remember, every preposition, it's the relationship. Okay? I have two things. Don't forget it can be action. I have two things, and I want to talk about the relationship. Despite is saying, despite means something has no influence. Meaning this thing does not change this thing. So for example, I came to work despite the rain. I came to work despite the rain. So this part was not changed by this part. Okay? I'm saying the rain did not change my behavior. The rain did not change my action. Despite is to say that. Okay? Something that you would think has influence does not have influence. The reason we have to say it is because you would think it does. It's raining, so I didn't go to work. But I need to tell you more specifically that I did, even though it's raining. So despite, even though, we're talking about it like that. More common prepositions. Okay, so down. What does down mean? Well, down just means lower. The temperature is going down. Something is becoming less. That's it. So it could be time, or it could be location. TV moving down. It's all about the location and change. So down is down. Up is up. But down is to talk about the relationship. So move the TV down. Just means make it lower. Down is lower. During means same time. Something is happening at the same time. Except, okay, except means not this one. So remember, we're having something, we have something here and something here, okay? The preposition is always going to modify this part here. So I say something, and except means but not this. I like cake except chocolate. I like movies except romantic movies. That's how we're always using these. Remember, relationship, relationship. For means purpose, purpose, or reason. From means start. From means start. Like to means end. From me to you. From is start. Start time, start location. In, we said, inside, same thing. Into, change. Like is like as, example. And near just means close to. I am near the TV. Now, near or next, what's the difference? I am near the TV, I am next the TV. Now, the difference is near can be anywhere. Anywhere close to the TV. Anywhere close to the TV is near. If I say next to, I mean the side, beside, next to. Near, more general. Of, now of is important. It means part. Of means part. Piece, part. I have some bigger thing, and I mean a piece, just a part. Okay? Off is the opposite on. On is touching, off not touching. On touching, off not touching. Now don't forget, on means completely touching. Okay? Completely touching. Whereas partially touching, beside or against. Against, partially touching, beside, next to, not touching, on, complete. Onto, change. Out, opposite, in. Inside, outside. Okay, we're talking about location. Over is like above. Same thing. We have many words to say the same thing. They mean the same. Above, okay. Above, over. This is, you can use these the same. I mean, there's really no difference. Past, obviously, behind me in time. Past, present, future. Talking about time, relationship. Plus is like also, in addition. Regarding. Regarding is same thing as about. Respecting. Respecting can be a little confusing. Respecting means this thing, but you must think about this. Okay, so let me give you an example here. So let's say we're going to have a dance party. We're going to have a dance party. So let's say dance as much as you want, respecting the time. So dance as much as you want, but pay attention to the time. That's all we're saying when we're saying respect. Respecting. It means pay attention to this part. Do whatever you want, but pay attention to this part. Okay? That's what we're trying to say here. Pay attention to something. Now, round, just to describe the shape, like a round. There's no difference. Since, we use in present perfect. Since just means starting in the past until now. Through. Now, what's the difference between through and across? Well, through is very similar to across, meaning from one side to the other. I go inside and outside of something. Okay? So through is to go inside and outside of something. So, for example, here's a circle. Through the circle. I walked through the circle. Meaning, I went into something and it came out something. Now, across is different, because across is just meaning one side to the other. It could be a circle, but I'm specifically saying opposite sides. Whereas through, anything is through. It doesn't matter. In and out. Now, throughout means all over. So through is one side to the other. Throughout is different. Throughout is a little different. So I have the circle, but throughout is meaning everywhere. It's everywhere. So there is water throughout the room, meaning there's water everywhere. Remember, we're always trying to make a picture to understand prepositions, because prepositions are always talking about relationship of two things. So I want to try to imagine what these two things are doing. And that's why these definitions are so important, because they help me understand the picture, the relationship. So, till is like until, same. To meaning result or the end. Toward just means get closer. Remember, change a thing. I'm moving towards the TV, I'm getting closer. Underneath we said unlike, opposite, like is example, unlike, not example. Until, up. Now, upon is the formal way to say on. No difference, upon. We often use it with time, but it can be time or place. With means together. Within means together inside. Without means don't have, not together. Okay? Now there's so many prepositions, and we just covered a few. There are more prepositions than this. There are hundreds of prepositions, because there's a lot of ways to discuss how things are located next to each other, or time locations too. So that's the thing. Prepositions are hard because there's so many of them, but they're important because they're essential in everything we do. It makes our writing easier to understand. It makes our speaking easier to understand. You know what I'm talking about. Remember, it's the difference between we are moving to Chicago or we're moving Chicago. The difference is quite great. Just one little word tells me the difference between the result of this action is Chicago or Chicago is getting the action. Chicago is not getting the action here. It's the result, where the action is going. So that's why prepositions are so important. So to review, to recap, we have at, in, on, our most basic prepositions, talk about location and time. And then we have many other prepositions that do the same thing. Talk about relationship, talk about time, but just in more specific ways. The key is, if you know the definition, you can see the picture. And if you can see the picture, you can kind of understand what's happening. Now, prepositions, like I said, they're important. You can't escape them. We got to know how they work. So let's practice. So this was video 2. We talked about basic prepositions. We're talking about the definition of some prepositions you might not have seen before. For our next video, we're going to practice. So let's just practice together, and we can talk about what these prepositions mean. So we got to know what the definition is. Now that we know the definition, we can use them. So join me for the next video when we're going to practice some of these. Okay, thank you so much.